Good morning or good afternoon or even good evening if that's where you are in the world. I'm really excited about this little video, and what it is a demo of some of the concepts of using memo amount and a memo account in tandem. And so what is just a case, just a practical example of how it could be used. And I'd like to really encourage you to think more broadly than just this example. Meaning, you may say, well, I don't need that example, but just think about how you could do something similar in your organization. Now, what I have on the screen that you're looking at right now is the Tithe Report we made over in the Q&A training a year ago almost. We as one of our projects, we did this little Tithe Report under expands, the topic of expands, and this one shows the tithe as is coming in and to the organization, and the whole idea meaning that you run it for the year and you'll slowly see this populating, and you can see who is late on their tithe report. This shows the full year because our sample database for 2009 has all the data. But if you were to run this every month, if in February East Atlantic Mission hadn't gotten their tithe report in yet, they would show a gap, or North Central American Conference, and so slowly you would build this as everyone got in their tithe report. Now, what our topic is today is, what if we wanted to show this instead of as in total, which definitely we'd want to have one report did that, but what if we wanted to show a per member, per capita, so to speak, tithe report, basically taking these figures showing here and dividing them by the membership? Well, if you had wanted to do that in your organization now, you would export this out to Excel, insert a column here someplace, and put in and in Excel type in the membership every time you wanted to do it, and probably just to make the report one time might not be worth going through the trouble we learned in the video today, the project. But if you just think of it as an ongoing thing that you'd like to track over the long periods of time, and having to re-enter the membership data into your Q&A Excel report every time, that would be aggravating. So what we are going to do is to bring the membership data into Excel. We're going to bring the membership data into Sun Systems and make it available for any report we want, including just a straight membership report, or a per capita tithe report, or per capita salary and human personnel expense per member. I think it's very interesting just to look at some of the expenses we have in our missions and unions and conferences based on the number of members we have, and sort of comparing ourselves to others. So what we want to do for today's project is that we are going to convert this into a per member figures. And so basically dividing the figures that you see here by the membership automatically in a Q&A report, not taking it out to Excel. So first thing we've got to do is to get our membership into Sun Systems so we can get it out. In order to do that, we have to, let's see if I can get all this stuff out of here. All right. First off, we need to do is that we're going to create an account and chart of accounts down in the Z section. And if you remember the previous video I showed you on using notes, or one of the previous videos, is in the Z section is the notes section, and I've created an account called membership, and let's take a peek at that. Okay, here we go. And now in my sample database, we track we're a division, and we track our unions by org ID under SDA organization. You know, in L, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and L6. And then as a way to keep track of additional information, we have set up project for each of the missions in the unions. We keep track of them in project. Most of you are probably keeping track of using function and then SDA organization. So you might keep track of, if you're a union, keep track of your missions in SDA organization, and then use function to keep track of your districts or something like that. So don't follow that too closely, because I don't know of any organization that is exactly following us, but we use SDA organization and project. SDA organization to keep track of our unions, and project to keep track of our missions and conferences. And so when we did this report here, we expanded first by SDA organization, and then we expanded by our missions and conferences. All right, and so with that little reminder, I have set up an account called membership. Mine is a US dollar account, and you notice the account type is set as Memo, and SDA organization and project are mandatory. Okay, and so there you go. So that's a requirement. And then I've come over here into Excel. Okay, over in Excel, and I have a spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet will be the membership. I'll set this up one time and one time only. Every month, or however often I get a membership report, I will update the membership. Let me hide this. This column is irrelevant there. And on all of my data, I've just made up numbers. So definitely we have more members than that. And over here, we're getting more tithes and offerings tithe than this. So just ignore the size of the numbers. I just made up numbers. And so we'll take this report, we'll take this in its rough format and just update it, import it every month, or however, every quarter, whenever we get the membership report. Update this and import it. Update this and import it. Now this is just a regular import. We're going to look at the mapping in a minute, but I'd like for you to notice something different than any other ledger import. It's a ledger import too. It's not a static data import. It's a ledger import. And I would like for you to notice something about it, in that it doesn't balance. In fact, it doesn't have a dollar amount in it. These are the members right here. And so we are going to do a ledger import into that membership account and posting these numbers into the memo amount. Okay, so the membership account is a memo account, and we're posting these numbers into the memo amount field. And so let's just take a peek at the mapping here. I'm logged into Q&A, and we do our data send, and we will open up the definition. I've already got it all mapped, so we won't take us a long time of doing it. And I'll try to take this a little bit slow so you can, like, swipe any of my mapping that you see helpful. You can see the LI code right here, and we've got the header, footer, test import, posting type 2 as posted if no errors, write the whole file, no, allow balancing transaction, Expense error account, I just gave it anything. Report errors only, yes. Suppress, substitute, yes. And it has to have the JV. And then this is where it gets interesting. The account code is Z9888. That's the membership account I showed you just a minute ago. Now the accounting period, I want to change that because for our class example, we're going to put this into 009001. Okay, the first period of the year. All right. And you have to put in a debit credit marker just because it's going to require it. It's going to throw an error message you don't. But instead of posting an amount to normally when we do a ledger entry, I believe I have this right, we put in the fourth currency amount, but we're not putting anything down there. Okay. And we're posting it to memo amount is column F6. You see right here. G6 is what I need here, so let me fix that. I changed it around after the previous import, but so we'll just do this now. G6, and then I have function is where it doesn't much matter here, but if you use the same function you use as when you're doing tithe, it will work. A restriction, unrestricted, and then I'm at B6 right here, which is my org ID, and then I have D6 for my project, basically mapping it the same way I would do an import of tithes and offerings, but now I'm doing an import of the amount of the memo amount. All right, and so this is I've mapped it to that coding. So now I've got the membership for each of my unions, each of my conferences, and the union to which they belong from. And then it's going to require that US dollar, USD1. It gets confused if it doesn't have that. And so we're good to go. And so we have this thing mapped, and we've sent it in. So the most remarkable thing that we've done is that we've posted memo amounts with an import. All right, so we don't have to sit there typing them all in. We just keep this sheet. And now next month, after I get it working one time, I just update these figures. I could make it a little bit better mapping, where I put in the date, different dates, and so forth. And there you go. So, make it a little fancier. In fact, you could use your ledger import template that we make and send out with all Sun systems, but then you would have to make sure that your mapping has been changed so your these figures are going to your memo amount. Now, we get this baby and we bring it in. We go to Sun Systems and ledger entry. Excuse me, ledger import. Open that baby up. And so there's what we just sent in. We review, and I think we're ready to go without any further to do. All right, so the cool thing is that we just imported all these figures in a non-journal entry form, and they're all residing in the memo amount value. Okay, you could actually see that what it's trying to tell us that over here, and you could see the org ID and the project that they went into. Now, all that data is in the system and ready for us to use in a Q&A report. To look at that, let's just go over here and just take just see what we've got. We could do a summary link to our brother summary link. Bifocals playing games with me. Table ledger account code, and we go pick up that Z, that memo account. Accounting period, and this is 2009-001, where we just imported all that data for. Okay, and now we want the memo amount over here, and we go OK, and we extract it, and this will be my total membership right here. That's the total of what we imported, and then we could expand it by, just to show you the data is in there somehow, by org ID, and we could expand it again by project, okay, so it just shows you all that data that I just imported is really there. So now if we come over here to my tithe report, and now all we have in there is January, so I will just show you the modification for January. So then you would just replicate this for every month, and you just imagine putting in the tithe and this sheet slowly building over the year as the tithe reports are put in, but also as the membership reports put in, then you're able to come up with a per capita. So we're just going to do January, and then all the rest would have been done the same way. And so just this real simple little thing here. So we go back to our design view, and I don't know if you remember how this thing, so this is my total tithe, and so if I insert a column here, okay, and this is the report that the value that I just did right over here. So I'm going to go over and snag this thing. Okay. Sorry to be jumping around with you so much there. All right, so this is the summary link that pulls up the membership for January. And so I know that you're a little bit confused about the way this is constructed, and frankly so am I, but the period is in row 5 hidden there. If you're confused, then, well, let me just take the time to show it to you to make sure you're not confused. So remember when we constructed this over on the other project, we hid the period in there. So let me construct it with that show, and then we'll rehide it. Okay, so the period that we're concerned with is this period right there. If I can get that period in there. Actually, I need to modify that slightly. Okay, now we're rolling. So this will be pointing up to that value. This is completely irrelevant to what I'm trying to show you. Okay, and it will then, so this query is basically saying go to that account, the membership account for that period, and bring me back the memo amount for that period. All right, so then I could take this right here, insert another column, and we'll call this January as well. Okay, and to make this now per capita, we'll do the little mathematical division. So this right here is the total of the tithes and offerings, and we divide that figure by the one in B8, and now this value right now is the C8 divided by B8, and we'll get rid of those decimal places and hide. Okay, and now this number right here is per capita, and I think maybe not hiding it might be the best thing. So this right here would be membership, offerings, and tithe per capita. All right, and for the sake of clarity, I'm going to remove the columns I haven't modified yet, but the modification for all those columns would be just like the one I just made. But let's just hide those right now so it looks a little clearer what we're trying to do. And oh, come on, baby. There we go. And so we'll extract our sheet now. And so there's a membership for the whole division. It's not a great big membership, you can see, and this is the tithe for the whole division. It's not a great big tithe, and we've got $9 for that month. And so now let's get these rows straight here for the sake of tidiness here, and then let's run this baby again. So now okay, and just like we expanded on the original worksheet, we'll expand first because of the way that my organization runs this data. Yours probably doesn't follow the same pattern. I'm going to expand by org ID, and I've got that, and then I'll grab all of those and expand by project. Okay, now, and you can just imagine this running across the page or something of the sort. So you can see the membership coming in here. We'd round that decimal place because we don't have any decimal members, and then we divide across here. And then the beauty of this is that it's pulling directly out of the Sun systems. There's some internal control over the figures. You're being careful when you put them in. And then they're here for historical analysis for years and years and years. And so I think this is pretty cool. So to remind you what we did is we set up an account called membership. We created an import sheet called membership that we run every month with the membership. We import this. Import this with importing the org ID and the project, just like it was bringing in tithe. And your organization probably used this function in org ID, and then we post this to the memo amount. And the cool thing about that is that it doesn't have to balance or anything of that sort. And then it is there available for any report writing we want. Okay, this has the example connects the membership to tithe here, but this could be total personnel expenses based on the membership. You know, there ought to be some connection between how big you are and how big your personnel expenses. And it's available for anything we want. And I hope that you get the vision now to expand the idea of this beyond just a simple bringing in membership. But it could be number of students. It could be literature that you've distributed, almost anything that you want to keep track of, you can keep track of it in a memo amount.